Welcome everybody to my track. I'm Florian and I'll be hosting this track today. I'll share my screen for a bit so we can all talk about the same thing. Yeah, my name is Florian. We do the track 2 together today. So we do have a great variety of speeches. So we will have team security now with Rolf Kremer from GBS Europe. Gürkan will be there, Microsoft MVP, talking about how to use Microsoft Teams like a rockstar. And the third session will be Teams management like a boss. Actually, I will do this session. And yeah, we'll lead you through this day. Welcome, have fun. If you have any questions, type them down in the Q&A section. You find it on the upper right corner. And I would say we are good to go for the next session or the starting session. Don't forget to visit the sponsors. They make this possible. Our session today will be with Rolf. He will do team security, protection against malware and other threats. As our companies start using Teams more and more, it's probably one of the most important topics anyway. So I'm looking forward to give the stage to Rolf. And let's see, Rolf, you're all still in the backstage section. I put you on stage. Perfect. So then I will hand over to you. Share your screen and your video. To anybody else, have fun. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. I will moderate and ask these questions later to Rolf. Have fun, guys.
Okay, thank you, Florian, for the introduction and, of course, also the opportunity to speak on this International Team Summit today. Today, I would like to speak about a topic that is often not typically associated with Teams. This mainly includes the threats that can arise from malware or other threats. My name is Rolf Kremer and I work at GBS as an R&D manager. And in this position, I'm responsible for the development of our cybersecurity products, which we also offer for Microsoft Teams among some other platforms. Before I go into the security risk and what possibility Teams brings out of the box, I will first list a few typical situations for every day that can create such a security risk when users are working with Teams. After it, I will present Microsoft's standard product for activating malware protection in Teams. But before I go into the details, I would like to say a few words about us. We are an independent software vendor for cybersecurity solutions and have our focus on protecting email and collaboration platforms. We have been offering security solutions from our IQ Suite product family for different email platforms for over 25 years. And in the beginning of the last year, we added also the support for Microsoft Teams and also SharePoint. We are mainly based in Germany, but have also offices in Manchester for the UK region and in Toronto for the North American region. We are part of Digital. This is an IT consulting company with about 1,400 employees. And we as GBS are the software product division for cybersecurity. At first, I would like to start a poll which is related to the topic of security risk in general. Do you think using Microsoft Teams poses a security risk to your company? The answers options are yes, I believe security risks can arise. No, I don't think there are security risks, and or if you haven't already done so, I haven't thought about security risks with Microsoft Teams. Okay, now I will start the poll. Okay. And now you should see the poll and you can answer. big questions. And we will wait a few little moments that everyone has a possibility to click on the answers. Okay, so the most people believe that there are security risks, and no one thinks that there are no security risks at the moment. Okay, so only 9 votes, but I think we are 23 people in the session. So maybe some others will also to give vote. If not, it seems not, then I will close the poll. So as we can see, the result is that most of the people think that there is a security risk. No one other seems thought that there is no risk. Okay, and I will continue with my presentation slide. So the basis of most security issues in the IT area is always the protection of information or data against destruction, unauthorized use, or other types of use of the data for which they are intended. In principle, the rule applies that any information that is created, transferred, or stored is potentially at risk. And in this session, of course, this means any information that is stored in Teams. In Teams, not only textual or graphical information are stored, also files can be uploaded, such as Office files, video, audio files, or others. And these files may also contain malware or malicious content that can affect the performance or system resources of the computer or system, or even cause a crash. For example, the software programs can be impaired in their functionality. Further, it is also possible that disturbed advertisements can be displayed, or data can also be stolen for other purposes. And the user can also be misled by being asked to enter confidential data in the wrong places, which is then forwarded to other people or places. And typical types of malware are adware, spyware, viruses, worms, trojans, or ransomware. On this slide, I have added a current study by the AV Test Institute. And in this study, we can see that it exists a continuous increase in malware over the past few years. On the next slide, you can also see the monthly comparison. So it shows that several million new programs can pose a potential risk. Potential threats are added every month. In the following, I have now listed a few daily situations in which such a security risk can arise. Of course, this includes working from the home office first of all. The work from home is increased in the last 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And in the home office, not every employee of a company has a company laptop or a PC. Especially in the first few months of the pandemic, there was a problem that not enough laptops could be ordered quickly. And this is sometimes quite difficult at the moment, less because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but more because of the global scarcity of resources. For example, we have delivery times of up to 3 months for high-performance laptop devices from our sub-suppliers. Others, on the other hand, have a company laptop at home, but do not use it because the private computer is perhaps more powerful, or they are simply used to work with their private devices at home. In particular, it can also happen that the workplace at home is temporarily occupied by other family members, maybe in the evening, and they do not want to change the laptops often. However, the use of the private computer poses a security risk. Within the company network, the company IT has a good control and can also ensure that all devices are equipped with the necessary anti-malware software. However, this is not possible with private computers. Often private computers does not have installed suitable anti-malware software, maybe because they want to save costs or because they forgot to extend the subscription or they do not want to continue with the anti-malware software for performance reasons. On the next slides, I have added some results of a research study from the last year about the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, I do not found a similar research for the North American region, so I will use a study from the Federal Office for Security in Information Technology in Germany. But as mentioned in another study from McKinsey, the remote work situation in Germany and in the North American region are very similar. So on this first slide, it shows an overview of the increase in home office work during the COVID-19 period. And as you can see, the number of home office jobs has more than doubled during the COVID-19 period. The prospect is that even after the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, many of us will continue to work from home. So the same study determines that 58% of the companies want to maintain the offer or extend it further. This study comes also to the conclusion that just over 40% of companies only use a company-owned device in the home office. So this means that more than half of the employees also use private devices for the home, either entirely or at least partially. And of course, this also works very well with Teams, since you only need a browser and a headset for meetings or calls. And in this respect, Teams can be used from almost any internet-enabled device. This is also my next question. How do you use Teams? Do you use Teams for your work from private devices, or do you use private and work devices, or you only use work devices? I will now start my second poll. Just a moment. And now you should be able to see the poll and start to add your answers. As we can see, most of the people use only devices from the employer. So we can wait a little moment, a few seconds. Yeah, so so I will close the poll now, and as we can see, most of the employer people working with work devices, and only 4 people are working with private devices, and either entirely or partially. But also these people, this can be a security risk. Besides the work from home, working with people from other companies or freelancer can also pose a security risk. Again, corporate IT has no control over the state of these devices which they use with Teams. Of course, it can be that the devices used are equipped with anti-malware protection, but there's no guarantee for this. This is important because Teams in particular support working with people from other companies very well. And my third daily situation I've listed is conducting online meetings or online training courses with Teams. not necessarily for events as large as today, but the meeting functionality of Teams is, of course, very well suited for smaller groups of participants. Some weeks ago, in February, a new type of attack was published. In this attack, hackers dropped a malicious executable file inside of a chat in a Teams meeting, and this file looked like it came from a coworker. This happened since the hackers compromised an email account from an employee of the company, and with this email account, they could try to access Teams meetings or at the company, or they stole the login credentials for Microsoft 365 through an email phishing attack. And of course, if they have access to Teams, then they can also upload malicious files, which can be used and downloaded by other employees of the company. So now what can you do to ensure protection against malware even when using Teams? In addition to the protection of end devices, further protection can or should be set up on the server side. And for this, Microsoft has its own product family, which is called Microsoft Defender. And with Microsoft Defender, it is possible to protect the entities, endpoint, cloud apps, emails, and documents. And the malware protection for Teams is part of the product Microsoft Defender for Office 365. For Microsoft Defender for Office 365, there are two plans available. The first plan can be used to protect emails or Teams against zero-day malware and phishing. And additionally, the second plan also includes to conduct post-breach investigations or also simulation for training, maybe protection against phishing. Because Plan 2 has a different focus, I won't go into it further in this presentation. But I want to note that files uploaded to a Teams channel or added to a chat or a meeting are not saved directly in Teams. Teams is more or less only a user interface. Rather, the files are stored via the automatically linked document library in SharePoint Online or in OneDrive for Business when these files were uploaded to a chat. But SharePoint Online is also behind OneDrive for Business. This means that these files are also stored in a document library in SharePoint Online. Well, how does the Defender work? After the user has uploaded a file to Teams in a channel or a chat, the file is internally marked as new. And now Microsoft uses heuristics to check whether the uploaded file can pose a security risk. Of course, Microsoft does not disclose which heuristics these are, since otherwise the protection can simply be overridden. And if the heuristics indicate that there is a risk, the file is sent to the Office 365 malware scanner. And if this scanner detects a threat, the file will be classified as malware, otherwise nothing happens. However, this process does not happen in real time, but after the file has been uploaded, it can take a few minutes before the file with a risk is recognized as such a file, and then it will be displayed as such a file in the user interface. And typically, this can take up to 5 minutes. Beginning in the last week of December until now, Microsoft has introduced a new layer, new security layer for Office 365 with a new built-in protection. However, only for clients who have a corresponding license. I will get into what those are later. The administrator can extend this protection even further. To do this, the administrator of an Office 365 account must first activate it. Therefore, on the following slides, I have first listed how Defender for Office 365 can be activated or where you can find the built-in protection. And for this, the administrator must go into the admin center and open the security center. Once this has been done, the threat management area is located in the navigator and the policies are below it. Under threat policies, there's a save attachment option. And with this option, the mentioned malware protection can be opened. You may not even see this option in your admin center. This is because the Defender for Office 365 is not included in all products. This add-on is only available in the product, the Business Premium version, the E5 version, or if you have the E3 versions, then you have to buy it as a paid add-on. After it, you can click on the Save Attachment link, and then you can see on the next page the new built-in protection. It is enabled by default with the lowest priority. If you select it, you can open the details for the built-in protection. And with this built-in protection, Microsoft wants to automatically elevate all users within an organization to the base level of security protection. This means that all existing and new end users across a tenant are added to the safe attachment protection without any action from the administrators. Besides this, it is also possible to exclude certain users or groups from the built-in protection. And for this, the administrator can define these users or groups. But this cannot be done in this dialog. For this, the administrator has to open the preset security policy page, which I have opened here. The built-in protection is a third preset security policy besides the standard and the strict protection layer. If an organization has a safe attachment policy in place, then the built-in protection has no impact to these users. In general, the built-in protection policy has the lowest priority compared to the standard, strict, or the explicit custom policy. And if you click on the link Add Exclusions, then a new dialog will be opened in which the administrator can define these users or groups or domains for which the built-in protection should not be valid, for example, for administrators. Before the built-in protection feature were rolled out, it was necessary that the administrators enable the safe attachment feature. And this was done in the global settings of the safe attachment page. In the dialog, there's the option Protect Files in SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. And below it, there's a checkbox with which this feature can be turned on and turned off. Currently, it is not really clear what is the real difference between the new built-in protection feature and the activation of this global setting feature. In my test after the activation of the global setting feature, I had the same results compared to the turn off of this feature. Also, I could not find any explanation by Microsoft about the difference. Maybe in the next weeks, Microsoft will explain this. Nevertheless, the enabling of the global setting feature may take some time to take effect. And this is also the reason why I do not show the settings live on the system and reproduce them here with the help of some screenshots. Now let's have a look to the impact of enabling this feature or the built-in protection. And first in a channel. Here I have a team with a channel and I have uploaded a file. And this file contains malware, making it a potential threat. In this case, after about 5 minutes, a red symbol with a white cross appeared behind the name of the file, which is supposed to indicate that it is a possible threat. When I hover over the icon, I get a notification that certain commands are not available. This includes that the file cannot be opened directly. Further, the file cannot be copied, moved, or even shared. but the download menu option is available, and after selection, a dialog appears that the file is compromised by malware, and the user can't download the file either. But the user has also the option to open the file directly in SharePoint. And here also the thread is displayed visually in the correct way. But only if you use the modern user interface like here. When you switch to the classic SharePoint user interface, the icon is not displayed. Again, here you have also the menu options which are limited, and also the download option. And if the user clicks here on the download option, then the same dialog will appear as in the team channel, but here also the download button is available. So this is an inconsistency in the user interface, because here the user has a possibility to download the file. Next, let's have a look to the chat functionality. Signed files can also be added to a chat. Here I've added a file to a chat. And even if I wait a long time, in this case 25 minutes, there's no visual indication that the file might be a threat. There's also a download option on which the user can also click. And a notification is then displayed that the download is in progress. But this is not correct, because the file is blocked in the backend and cannot be downloaded, and nothing happens. So this is also an inconsistency in the user experience, which of course can lead to confuse the user. Next, I can go to the Files tab. And here I get the same image that despite the threat, there's no visual indication. So here we have also the same inconsistency in the user experience. Next, the user has the option of viewing the file from the chat in OneDrive storage. As said, the files from a chat are always saved in OneDrive for Business. And to do this, I can open the Files app, and then I can click on OneDrive. Now I can open the Microsoft Teams chat files folder, because there the files will be stored. And as we can see here, the file is correctly displayed with a red and white symbol. And this means that the defender correctly identified the file as a threat, but the Teams user interface did not display correctly in some places. So next we can have a look to the meeting feature. Signed files can also be uploaded there. So here I have created a meeting with a whiteboard, and I have uploaded a file on the right side in the meeting chat. Again, I have the option to download the file, but here also nothing happens after the selection. So this means that the user experience is also not clear here. We have the same or similar picture when I look at the file in the team channel from which I have started the meeting. The file is displayed without an icon, and there's also the option to download it. The message that the download is in progress is also there, but nothing else happens. This is also an inconsistency in the user interface. And as next, we can have a look to the Files app. And here I can see all the files that have been uploaded via Microsoft Teams if I select Files and then the Microsoft Teams view. Again, we have the list of files, and here also the visual indication is not visible. The same happens for the download menu option. This gives the same picture, showing that the download is in progress, but in fact, nothing really happened. If I try to open it in my Word client, I get an error message. So this was a short overview of the impact of enabling Defender for Teams. And if you have set up the synchronization with OneDrive, files containing malware may be automatically downloaded to your computer without your notice. This is because Defender for Office 365 does not prevent automatic synchronization with the local folder here. So there's also no indication in the local folder that this is malware. It is therefore necessary that you have to set up a local malware scanner, maybe also Microsoft Defender. Microsoft offers also two extensions to make some restrictions. On the one hand, a PowerShell script can be executed to prevent the download of malicious files in the SharePoint interface. On the other hand, a policy can be created to send a warning message. The PowerShell script is given here and can also be found on the Microsoft documentation pages. To run, the person must be a global administrator or a SharePoint administrator. This is because the PowerShell script is available for SharePoint online sites, and signs the files are uploaded to a SharePoint document library via Teams. After the PowerShell script run, the button download will not be displayed in the dialog in the SharePoint document library, as you can see here. So it is the same behavior as in a Teams channel. And another enhancement is to create a policy to add an alert if a file with a malicious content was found. And this can be done in the Security Center or on the alerts page. And if you create an alert, you have to select the option detect malware in file. And in this case, the administrator or the defined recipients will get an email message about the detection of such a file. In general, Defender provides support throughout the whole life cycle of an attack. As described, the prevention of the Office 365 environment with Teams, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive can easily be set up. Malware is also detected using heuristics and the anti-malware scanner. And these two options can easily be realized through the Plan 1 of Defender. Plan 2 provides additional ways to investigate a protection fault and provides options for recovery and other responses to the protection fault. Options are also offered to train people for phishing, for example, and also some reports are available, but in these reports will only are only related to file attachments in emails and not to the safe attachments in Teams, SharePoint, or OneDrive. Okay, and finally, I have my last poll. So, does your company use Microsoft Defender for Office 365? Most probably you won't know this at the first glance, but maybe a training course was held and malware protection in Teams was mentioned there, or you may have seen the malware icon in the Teams environment before. So there we have 4 options to answer. Yes, we use Defender. No, we do not use it. And the third option is no, we do not use it, but we have to, but we want to deploy it shortly. Or you do not know whether your company is using Defender for Office 365. And now I will publish the poll so that everyone can try to answer. Okay, so it seems that all companies from the responders use Defender for Office 365. Now we have one who does not use Defender for Office 365. Okay, I will close the poll now. and I will continue with my summary of this presentation. As mentioned, Defender is included in some Microsoft 365 products, and Defender for Office 365 can scan file attachments in Teams, SharePoint Online, and also OneDrive. And the check is done asynchronously, and if a file matches the heuristics, that file is forwarded to the built-in malware scanner. If malware is detected, this is indicated by a symbol behind the file name. And in addition, certain actions such as opening, copying, moving, or sharing are no longer responsible. Downloading the file is also no longer possible, at least in many places in the UI. The Defender's functionality can also be extended by PowerShell and policies. In summary, the usage of Defender for Office 365 is important, especially when you do not want to restrict the features for external users, for example, that they are not allowed to upload files in Teams. What could be the next steps? If you like, you can join our product presentation of our IQ Speed 360 solution. This is a tool which can be used alternatively to the Defender product. And further, we are also available on the launch and also on our booth here at the Teams Summit. So finally, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I will be happy to answer any question. So Florian, then I will give over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Rolf, for your introduction to the possibilities of security. I think
I will have a look to the chat whether there's a question.
A lot of companies are facing this.
But I cannot see any question.
Can you hear me, Rolf? Rolf?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear me. Perfect. All right. So yeah, we do not have remaining questions. Thanks so much for your presentation. I think the topic is very hot right now, so everybody should at least do the minimum of Microsoft Defender setup to get a better idea of what is else possible. I think you will be still available at the event, and people come directly to you. I think GBS also has a booth, or a table. Yeah, guys, join Rolf. Still, until we wait for the next session, we will have 20 minutes where you can browse the event, maybe hop into other sessions and go to the sponsor booths. We will see each other in 20 minutes from now. If there is something in the meantime, just write a message in the generals chat and you will be helped. Have a nice day. It was great meeting you, and I hope to see you in the next session again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye to everyone.